Hey everyone, hopefully you're having a good day. My name's Andy. My channel is Finding Value. Today we're going to do our daily technical analysis update of commodities. We're going to work our way through the dollar, yields, precious metals, and commodities ETFs that I follow. I'm going to give you my financial opinions across the board. And if you need any help, check out finding-value.com. We do have platinum question and answer sessions and stuff like that to help you if you need any help there. So let's dive in. Let's take a look and see what's going on with the markets. Here we go. We've got the DXY. Again, look at that momentum in the dollar, guys. Wow. And again, it overlays with yields. We're seeing very big strength in our yields going higher. So strengthening yields, strengthening dollar, they are correlated. A lot of the times when yields strengthen, we can see oil go higher in a lot of these inflation-sensitive assets because inflation has been driving the interest rates higher. Now, is inflation driving the interest rates higher now? The answer is, I don't think so. What's driving it is the supply and demand of bonds. And they're piling on a ton of bonds and trying to sell them. I do think it will end up being inflationary, but we've got a double-edged sword here. We've got interest rates going up, which is stifling the credit creation process of people taking loans from commercial banks. Then, on the other hand, we're continually paying higher interest payments on the debt, which also is a function of inflation. So it's a double-edged sword. It is stifling one area and pumping another area. So the dollar is increasing. It's looking quite strong here. And we've got a pretty good momentum to the upside. You look at yields, yields also look quite strong. This is the 2-year yield. We're up here sitting on top of a support structure. It very well could go higher here, guys. It looks pretty dang strong. The 10-year definitely in stride, looks very strong for higher yields. And if we back out, we take a little bit bigger picture view on a weekly candlestick basis. Looks very strong. 30-year also looking strong, heading higher today, up 0.93%. Very strong day today. And with these higher yields, gold is not going to like it. Precious metals in general won't like it as these yields continue higher. TYX, TNX ratio, basically flat today, and we're at a very low level. Very low, which is generally good for precious metals if yields fall and the yield curve uninverts. Unfortunately, the yield curve is not uninverting and yields are not falling. At least not yet. TYT or TLT, 20-year bonds continue lower. Quite surprising, the strength of yields and the weakness of bonds. I didn't think it would just fall apart, but it's fallen apart. This looks pretty crappy. Now, I'm not touching bonds. I think I don't like them. I think it's just, I don't know. I don't like this market conditions for bonds, but this is a big topping pattern. We've reversed lower. It is continuing to go lower. I would have guessed that we were going to come back there and come back down, but I don't know. This thing's leaking profusely right now to the downside for bond prices. Gold also heading a little bit lower today, down 8.8, doesn't like the market conditions. And this could head lower. If yields continue higher, we're going to see strength in the dollar, most likely. And gold could continue lower for a little bit. It's just going to be a death by 1,000 cuts. You can see if I were to put TNX up here, when TNX really started to strengthen here at kind of about this point there, you can see that gold headed lower. You see that nice kind of point there? As yields dropped here, you can see that gold went up. And you can see that almost direct relationship between the 10-year yield and gold prices. So that is what we're seeing right now, and we could see further downside in gold if we see continued strength in yields. Silver also feeling it, a little bit higher, I should say higher dollar, higher yields, a little bit lower silver price. We're still holding together. We haven't really accelerated to the downside yet, but we could see an acceleration to the downside if yields start to or continue to move higher. Platinum also following the same thing. I actually like platinum down here, not a bad spot. And even if it gets a little bit lower, I like it down here, guys. I'll just say I like platinum where it's at. XAU to gold ratio. Again, we're seeing weakness in gold and silver, and we're going to see weakness in the gold and silver mining companies. So we are still seeing that weakness. We could even break to the downside and head lower for XAU to gold ratio. And that's no bueno for gold and silver mining stocks. So we could break out here, and we'll see if that happens. And really, the thing we don't want to break is this 0.06 level where this trend line is. If we break below that, we could see accelerated move to the downside where gold and silver mining companies underperform. CRB oh, this is just the CRB index. A little bit lower. We're a little bit lower in crude oil and nat gas. So the overall index was lower today for the CRB. And this could be doing a retest move where we come back to this area. So we broke out, do a little retest, and then launch it. So that's hopefully what's going to happen. And this could be a false breakout. Maybe we go a little bit further to the downside. I know the overall markets are looking pretty weak to me. But I'm gonna say we broke out. We're gonna do a retest somewhere in that range there, and we'll see where we go from there. CRB to S&P 500, we're still outperforming commodities are versus the S&P 500. And that does look like we could go higher, but it doesn't mean that they can't both fall together for a period of time. So the S&P could fall more than the commodity index. GDX coming back down. It does look like there could be further downside in it. Pretty strong candlestick today across the board for GDXJ and SILJ as well. So it does look like we could pull back further. The market conditions are not conducive for gold and silver to go up with higher yields, higher dollar. Crude oil down 2.11%. That does look like we could continue back down a little bit more. We have broken out. We could see kind of some maybe return move to support level. There are a lot of support levels in this upper 70s, mid 70s region. So that is also where we could find some support, basically around where it's at. But we do have strong selling pressure these past few days, and that could continue until we see a contraction in the candlesticks and or a reversal candlestick. Natural gas also selling off a little bit. There is some momentum behind this sell-off, so let's just stay. I'm not doing anything. I'm just going to say that. And I'm going to stay open and see what we've got over the next few weeks or so. XOP, yeah, you know me, it's still holding together very well. Down 0.45%, it's outperforming the commodities themselves. And again, we're up against that resistance line. We got to break through it. We could loop back down around again. So just patience here, guys. Patience. OIH, energy service companies, also outperforming crude oil itself. We're up above support, and we are probably going to find support somewhere in the general region of $330 a share. Big picture view, still looks good to go higher. Sprott Physical Uranium Trust actually getting a lot of buying pressure today. 3.74% big bullish engulfing occurring today. This could easily break to the upside. Looks like people are positioning in the Physical Uranium Trust. We're back to 1805 and 1815. We want to get up and break out, and it does look like it's going to try to do that. We'll see if it can do it. Looks very good with the candlestick today. Nice big buying pressure. Very strong candlestick. This is the daily. You can see that we gap down a little bit and just straight higher from there. Very strong momentum to the upside. Looks fantastic. And let's hope we break through this and get moving. Now, the mining companies didn't really believe the move, I guess, so they're just hanging out, waiting to see what's going to happen. The URA slightly lower, URNM hanging out, just going sideways, still above support, still broken out, everything looks good. And then URNJ just coming back a little bit more than the others. It's more volatile. It's a little junior guy. What do you expect? But still looks okay. We're on top of everything. We're just waiting for launch sequence. TAN's losing itself. We're seeing some selling pressure in TAN. We are going to probably come back to this support level. About $10 away from where we are today per share. And I bet you we'll come down to this 52, about $52. That's probably where we'll end up. 52 and we're at 58. And this side will look like that side. So we're going to have to wait. I would wait for this to fall and turn around before entering anything here. COPX also coming back and pulling back a little bit. We're still in this channel we've got going on here, going back and forth. And we'll see what happens here over the next few weeks if we can get some reversal candlesticks here. Right now, the momentum's to the downside. Lithium, same thing, momentum to the downside. We're still back within that pattern. No clear break away yet. And then REMX also within the pattern, still aimlessly wandering around, I'll say. It looks like we've got kind of a breakout of this guy here. And I'll just put that here. A little upward channel that we've broken to the downside, and just be patient, guys. On a bigger picture view, all of these are actually in pretty good locations. This is generally the ideal buy point, right where we're at. This is a double bottom, a break of that neckline bottoming pattern, and then a retest. And we've got like a larger move to the bottom, to the downside happening right now. And I think it deals with yields. And it could be a slowdown in the market here. S&P 500, again, this looks like dog doo-doo. Bearish engulfing, increased selling pressure. It still looks like that can continue to the downside. We also see the NASDAQ bearish engulfing. That generally indicates that we could go lower, and the candlesticks indicate that that can continue to the downside. Emerging markets, stronger dollar, stronger yields. It doesn't like it. So it's heading a little bit lower. Again, we'll see where this will end up. Eventually, whenever this gets its act together, I think we are going much, much higher. But with the yields going up, not at this time. XHB is feeling those yields, feeling the stronger dollar. Looks like that may want to participate and pull back as well in the short term. We got a little bit of a roundish type deal, and we're getting these big bearish engulfing, bearish candlesticks starting to show up. Moo, again, I'd wait. It's still got some momentum behind it. We've got support at that $82 level, a little bit below us. Copper, slightly lower today. And we've got momentum to the downside. Nothing, I think, in the markets really likes the strong dollar, strong yields. Doesn't like it. If we were to put a pattern on here, I'd put a pattern like this. We had a nice little kind of false breakout there, and then we broke into the downside of this guy, and we could see further downside in copper. Things are slowing down. Markets are not liking these yields, and we could see a overall pullback in the markets, which we're seeing. Iron ore holding on strong, 0.46% up today, and I do think we'll eventually break to the upside at some point. This is a big falling wedge. 1, 2, 3, and maybe it's going to come all the way down. Maybe it won't. We'll see what the overall markets do to iron ore. Nickel continuing a little bit lower, and that could head down a little bit. Kind of a double top looking type pattern. And the overall markets are looking a little bit weak. Aluminum basically flat today. There we are, flat, doing this. We'll see if we bottom here or if we break to the downside. The overall markets are looking kind of iffy right now. Baltic Dry Index heading to the upside, 2.73%. Again, I still think this is going to go higher. It looks very good. False breakout. And then I think we're going to move on up. Newcastle coal futures hanging in there in that general location. I think it looks good. I would actually be looking at coal companies at this time in this general vicinity. Bitcoin slightly lower. We haven't lost control of selling pressure yet, so it's still hanging in there. And Ethereum the same. Well, Ethereum's starting to lose a little bit. This could get a little bit ugly for Ethereum to the downside if it doesn't come back up tomorrow. If we see strong selling pressure in Ethereum, I would say we are heading lower. Right now, we've broken through this support level, and we very well could head lower, especially if we start to see some selling pressure step in here. So that's what I'm seeing in the markets. Not looking too good. Looks a little bit weak from what I'm looking at, and from my viewpoint, S&P, NASDAQ, home builders starting to look a little bit weaker. I think things are starting to deteriorate to some degree. Will the Fed pivot? I don't know. We'll see. I'm riding through it. I'm not really going to concern myself with a lot of this stuff. Oil still looks good. Energy services still look good. Uranium still looks good. So we could see the markets, come back over. It may or may not have a impact on our individual companies and our sectors. So I'm going to ride through it. Hopefully that's the right decision, and that's where my head's at. Everything is cheap, still with commodities. It all looks good. We still have the big overall bottoming patterns intact, and whatever slowdown or recession we have will be temporary, in my opinion. Temporary being measured in months, probably not in years, and we'll see if we can move up higher with it. We could see stagflation, where we have inflation on top of a slowdown in the market, which is very well possible. So that's what we're seeing in the markets right now. Looking a little bit ugly. I am releasing a midweek update today. So if you guys are members, look for it. Look for that midweek update, and I'll release it with my favorite companies in there. All right, guys, that's all I've got for today. Thumb up for the content, subscribe to the channel, subscribe to the website if you like, and we'll catch you later. This is Finding Value.